The first thing you should know about me is that I'm not the villain you might think I am. I don't wake up in the morning planning to hurt anyone. I wake up to coffee that's gone cold too quickly, a wife who avoids my eyes, and a house that echoes with silence. If there's a villain in my story, it's circumstance, fate maybe. Life doesn't hand you a rulebook for how to keep everything together, and sometimes I think I miss the memo entirely. My name is Mark, and this is my life. Anna was always the kind of woman who turned heads without trying. She had this quiet elegance about her, a way of moving through the world like she belonged in it, even when she didn't believe she did. I was drawn to her from the moment we met. A chance encounter at a bookstore when we both reached for the same battered Hemingway novel. That's the kind of story people love to hear. Boy meets girl, sparks fly, and life feels like it's finally falling into place. But that's not where we are now. Now, I'm sitting at the kitchen table, watching her across the room as she busies herself with the dishes. Her hair is tied back, a few loose strands framing her face, and her movements are precise, deliberate. There's a tension in the set of her shoulders, the kind of thing you wouldn't notice unless you knew her like I do. I tell myself it's nothing, just a long day at work, maybe, but deep down I know better. I've always been good at noticing things, little things. The way her smile doesn't quite reach her eyes anymore. The way she flinches, almost imperceptibly, when I walk into the room. I tell myself she's just tired, that the world has worn her down, but the truth tastes bitter in my mouth. It's not the world. It's me. The realization comes like a slow, creeping shadow. I'm not the man I used to be. Somewhere along the way, I stopped being the guy who made her laugh until she cried and became the guy who made her cry without meaning to. It's not like I set out to hurt her. God, no. But words have a way of slipping out when you're angry, and silence can cut just as deep as a shout. It's not abuse, I tell myself. It's just life. Marriage is hard. Everyone says that. But sometimes, late at night, I wonder if I'm lying to myself. I watch her now, her back to me as she scrubs a plate with more force than necessary. The sound of running water fills the space between us, a barrier I can't seem to cross. I want to go to her, to wrap my arms around her and tell her I'm sorry for whatever it is I've done this time, but I don't. Instead, I sit there, hands folded on the table, and wait for her to notice me. When she finally turns, her eyes flick to mine for the briefest of moments before darting away. She's beautiful, even when she's like this, especially when she's like this. But there's a hardness in her gaze that wasn't there before. It's like looking at a stranger wearing my wife's face. Dinner's in the oven, she says, her voice flat. It'll be ready in 20 minutes. I nod, not trusting myself to speak. The air between us feels heavy, charged with things we're not saying. I want to ask her what's wrong, but the words catch in my throat. Instead, I watch her leave the room, her footsteps fading into the distance until I'm alone again. It wasn't always like this. There was a time when we couldn't keep our hands off each other, when we stayed up all night talking about everything and nothing. But those days feel like a lifetime ago, and I don't know how to get them back. I don't know if I can. As I sit there, the silence wrapping around me like a second skin, I realize something that chills me to my core. I don't know if Anna wants me to. The mornings are the worst. Anna moves through the house like a ghost. Her presence felt more in her absence than in anything she says or does. She's quiet in the way that isn't peaceful. It's deliberate. A silence filled with things left unsaid. I catch her glancing at me when she thinks I'm not looking, her expression distant, like she's trying to remember something about me that she's long forgotten. Today, I wake to the sound of her in the kitchen. Pots clink, water runs, and the faint smell of coffee wafts through the air. It used to be comforting, but now it feels like a reminder of how far apart we've drifted. I get up, dragging my feet as I shuffle into the kitchen, and there she is, standing by the counter, her back to me as she stirs sugar into her cup. Her hair is still damp from the shower, curling slightly at the ends. She doesn't turn around when I enter. "Morning," I say, my voice rough from sleep. "Morning," she replies, without looking up. She keeps stirring, even though the sugar must be dissolved by now. I take a seat at the table, watching her. There's something different about her, something I can't quite put my finger on. She's been distant for weeks now, but it feels like more than that. She's distracted, unreachable, like her body is here, but her mind is somewhere else entirely. It's maddening, trying to bridge a gap I can't even see. "You're up early," I say, hoping to spark a conversation. "Couldn't sleep," she replies, finally turning to face me. There are dark circles under her eyes, and her lips are pressed into a tight line. She looks tired, no weary, like she's carrying something heavy, something she hasn't shared with me. The thought gnaws at me. "Is everything okay?" I ask, leaning forward. She pauses, her fingers tightening around the mug. For a moment, I think she's going to tell me, to let me in, but then she shakes her head. "I'm fine. Just stressed about work." "Work," I repeat, the word tasting hollow in my mouth. It's the same excuse she's used every time I've asked her what's wrong. I don't push, though. I know better. When Anna doesn't want to talk, she doesn't want to talk. We sit in silence after that. The only sound's the ticking of the clock and the occasional sip of coffee. I try to read her expression, to see past the mask she's wearing, but she's a fortress. Impenetrable. After a few minutes, she sets her mug down and stands. "I need to get ready," she says, already moving toward the door. I watch her go, frustration bubbling in my chest. This is how it always is now. She's there, but she's not. I tell myself it's just a phase, that everyone goes through rough patches in a marriage, but the knot in my stomach tells me otherwise. Something is wrong, and I don't know how to fix it. At work, I can't focus. The numbers on the spreadsheet blur together, and every time I try to concentrate, my mind drifts back to Anna, to the way she looked at me this morning, like I wasn't even there. I tell myself I'm being paranoid, that I'm reading too much into things, but the doubts creep in anyway. When I get home that evening, the house is quiet. Too quiet. Anna's car is in the driveway, but she's nowhere to be found. I call out her name, my voice echoing through the empty rooms, but there's no answer. My heart pounds as I check the bedroom, the bathroom, even the backyard, but she's not there. Finally, I find her in the spare room, sitting on the floor with her legs crossed and a photo album in her lap. She doesn't notice me at first, too absorbed in whatever she's looking at. When I clear my throat, she startles, snapping the album shut like she's been caught doing something she shouldn't. "What are you doing?" I ask, stepping into the room. "Nothing," she says quickly, her voice too bright, too rehearsed. "Just looking at old pictures." I gesture to the album. "Can I see?" She hesitates, her fingers tightening around the edges of the book. For a moment, I think she's going to refuse, but then she hands it to me. I sit down beside her and open it to the page she was on. It's a picture of us, taken years ago on a beach vacation. We're smiling, our arms wrapped around each other, the sun setting behind us. We look happy. No, we are happy. I remember that trip. It was one of the few times in our marriage when everything felt perfect, like we'd figured it all out. "You looked beautiful that day," I say softly, glancing at her. She doesn't respond. Her eyes are fixed on the picture, her expression unreadable. After a moment, she gets up and leaves the room without a word, leaving me alone with the photo album and a sinking feeling in my chest. As I stare at the picture, a thought creeps into my mind, uninvited and unwelcome. What if I've already lost her? The mornings are the worst. Anna moves through the house like a ghost. Her presence felt more in her absence than in anything she says or does. She's quiet in the way that isn't peaceful. It's deliberate. A silence filled with things left unsaid. I catch her glancing at me when she thinks I'm not looking, her expression distant, like she's trying to remember something about me that she's long forgotten. Today, I wake to the sound of her in the kitchen. Pots clink, water runs, and the faint smell of coffee wafts through the air. It used to be comforting, but now it feels like a reminder of how far apart we've drifted. I get up, dragging my feet as I shuffle into the kitchen, and there she is standing by the counter, her back to me as she stirs sugar into her cup. Her hair is still damp from the shower, curling slightly at the ends. She doesn't turn around when I enter. "Morning," I say, my voice rough from sleep. "Morning," she replies, without looking up. She keeps stirring, even though the sugar must be dissolved by now. I take a seat at the table, watching her. There's something different about her, something I can't quite put my finger on. She's been distant for weeks now, but it feels like more than that. She's distracted, unreachable, like her body is here, but her mind is somewhere else entirely. It's maddening, trying to bridge a gap I can't even see. "You're up early," I say, hoping to spark a conversation. "Couldn't sleep," she replies, finally turning to face me. There are dark circles under her eyes, and her lips are pressed into a tight line. She looks tired, no weary, like she's carrying something heavy, something she hasn't shared with me. The thought gnaws at me. "Is everything okay?" I ask, leaning forward. She pauses, her fingers tightening around the mug. For a moment, I think she's going to tell me to let me in, but then she shakes her head. "I'm fine. Just stressed about work." "Work," I repeat, the word tasting hollow in my mouth. It's the same excuse she's used every time I've asked her what's wrong. I don't push, though. I know better. When Anna doesn't want to talk, she doesn't want to talk. We sit in silence after that. The only sound's the ticking of the clock and the occasional sip of coffee. I try to read her expression, to see past the mask she's wearing, but she's a fortress. Impenetrable. After a few minutes, she sets her mug down and stands. "I need to get ready," she says, already moving toward the door. I watch her go, frustration bubbling in my chest. This is how it always is now. She's there, but she's not. I tell myself it's just a phase, that everyone goes through rough patches in a marriage, but the knot in my stomach tells me otherwise. Something is wrong, and I don't know how to fix it. At work, I can't focus. The numbers on the spreadsheet blur together, and every time I try to concentrate, my mind drifts back to Anna, to the way she looked at me this morning, like I wasn't even there. I tell myself I'm being paranoid, that I'm reading too much into things, but the doubts creep in anyway. When I get home that evening, the house is quiet. Too quiet. Anna's car is in the driveway, but she's nowhere to be found. I call out her name, my voice echoing through the empty rooms, but there's no answer. My heart pounds as I check the bedroom, the bathroom, even the backyard, but she's not there. Finally, I find her in the spare room, sitting on the floor with her legs crossed and a photo album in her lap. She doesn't notice me at first, too absorbed in whatever she's looking at. When I clear my throat, she startles, snapping the album shut like she's been caught doing something she shouldn't. "What are you doing?" I ask, stepping into the room. "Nothing," she says quickly, her voice too bright, too rehearsed. "Just looking at old pictures." I gesture to the album. "Can I see?" She hesitates, her fingers tightening around the edges of the book. For a moment, I think she's going to refuse, but then she hands it to me. I sit down beside her and open it to the page she was on. It's a picture of us, taken years ago on a beach vacation. We're smiling, our arms wrapped around each other, the sun setting behind us. We look happy. No, we are happy. I remember that trip. It was one of the few times in our marriage when everything felt perfect, like we'd figured it all out. "You looked beautiful that day," I say softly, glancing at her. She doesn't respond. Her eyes are fixed on the picture, her expression unreadable. After a moment, she gets up and leaves the room without a word, leaving me alone with the photo album and a sinking feeling in my chest. As I stare at the picture, a thought creeps into my mind, uninvited and unwelcome. What if I've already lost her? It's been a week since the photo album, and things haven't changed. If anything, they've gotten worse. The space between Anna and me feels like an abyss, and I'm standing at the edge, too scared to jump, but not knowing how to climb back. Every morning, she gets up, moves through her routines with the kind of precision that feels calculated, like she's performing a role she's grown too tired of playing. I tell myself I'm imagining it, that the distance is just in my head, a product of my insecurities. But no matter how much I try to convince myself, I can't shake the feeling that something is off. This morning, she's standing by the window, looking out at the yard. The sunlight catches in her hair, turning it gold, and for a fleeting moment, she looks almost serene, like the woman I married. But it's a fleeting illusion, and I'm left with the sharp ache of knowing that I'm not the one she's looking at. I'm not even sure she notices me when I walk into the room. "Good morning," I say, though my voice feels weak, like I'm trying too hard. She turns, her face a little too controlled. "Morning," she replies. It's the same every time now, polite but distant. The words land between us like stones, too heavy to ignore, but too light to carry any real meaning. I sit at the kitchen table, forcing myself to breathe, to think. But there's this knot in my stomach, tight and twisting, as if I can sense something shifting in the air, even if I can't quite name it. She's holding her coffee with both hands, staring at it like it holds all the answers. Anna, I start, then pause, unsure of how to phrase the question that's been gnawing at me. Are we okay? She doesn't answer right away, just glances at me, her eyes flicking from my face to the floor. The silence stretches out, thick with the weight of words unspoken. I know better than to push her too hard, but I need to hear something, anything, that can reassure me that I'm not losing her. I'm fine, she says at last, her voice barely above a whisper. But there's an edge to it now, a sharpness that wasn't there before. She's lying. I can feel it. I don't think you are, I say, my voice sharper than I mean it to be. I regret it instantly, but the words are out, hanging between us like a wall. Anna sets her mug down a little too forcefully, the sound loud in the otherwise quiet kitchen. What do you want me to say, Mark? Her voice rises, betraying the calm facade she's been trying to maintain. Do you want me to tell you everything's perfect? That nothing's wrong? Or do you want the truth? Her words hit me like a slap, sharp and unexpected. For a moment, I'm caught off guard. I don't know how to respond. Part of me wants to demand the truth, but the other part is terrified of what it might be. I just want you to talk to me, I say, my voice softer now, a plea more than anything else. I want to know what's going on in your head. She looks at me, and, for a split second, I think she might actually say something, might let me in, but then she shakes her head, the moment slipping away. I'm tired, Mark, she says, her voice flat again, like the life has been drained out of it. I'm just tired. She stands up and leaves the room before I can say anything else. The door shuts behind her with a soft click, leaving me in the silence of the kitchen. I want to scream, to shake her and make her talk, to tear down the walls she's built around herself. But I know it won't do any good. Not if she's already made up her mind. The rest of the day passes in a haze. I try to concentrate at work, but my thoughts keep drifting back to Anna. I can't shake the image of her standing by the window, the emptiness in her eyes. She's fading from me, slipping through my fingers like water, and I don't know how to stop it. When I get home, it's no better. The house is quiet, too quiet. I check the living room, the kitchen, the bedroom, but Anna's nowhere to be found. Panic surges in my chest as I walk through the house, looking for signs of her. Her purse is on the counter, her shoes by the door, but she's not here. Then I hear it, the faint sound of her voice, muffled, coming from the back of the house. I freeze, my heart pounding as I approach the source of the sound. It's coming from the study, and as I get closer, I realize it's not just her voice, it's someone else's too. I don't know what compels me to open the door. Maybe it's the instinct to confirm the worst, or maybe it's just the need to understand why everything has changed. Either way, I push the door open. Anna is sitting at the desk, her phone pressed to her ear. She doesn't see me standing there, frozen in the doorway, as she laughs softly at something the person on the other end of the line has said. It's not the laugh I've heard 1,000 times in the past, the one that used to make my heart swell with affection. No, this one is different. It's light, too light. It's the kind of laugh you only hear when you're speaking to someone who makes you forget the world. I don't know what to do with the feeling that rushes through me. Something jagged and cold that claws its way into my chest. The first thought that comes to mind is that I want to smash something. Anything. I want to scream, to demand answers. But I don't. I stand there for a moment longer, just watching her, my wife, laughing, her head tilted back, oblivious to me standing in the doorway. She's always been good at hiding things, but now I can see it in her eyes. I can see it in the way she moves, in the way she smiles. There's someone else, and I don't know if I can handle that truth. The sound of Anna's laughter still echoes in my ears long after I close the door behind me. It's ridiculous, really. I should have confronted her right then and there. I should have barged in, demanded to know who she was speaking to, why she was smiling like that, like she hadn't a care in the world. But I didn't. Instead, I stood there, frozen, as if I were watching someone else's life unfold. She's never been like this before. I've never been the kind of man who would allow this kind of distance to grow between us. not without noticing, not without fighting it. But it's happening. I can feel it in every inch of my skin, in the sharpness of my thoughts, the tightness in my chest. I don't know what to do. I don't know who she's talking to, but I know it's not me. It never was. By the time Anna gets home that evening, the air between us is thick with unspoken words. The house smells like dinner, but I have no appetite. I watch her move around the kitchen, setting the table, her movements automatic and too smooth. It's like she's on autopilot. I can't even bring myself to look at her for too long. I don't know if I'll see the same woman I married or the stranger I've come to dread. When she finally sits down across from me at the table, she's quiet. Too quiet. Her eyes are fixed on her plate, the edge of her mouth pinched like she's holding something back. I don't know how to start. I know I should say something, but every word that comes to mind feels wrong. I'm angry, but more than that, I'm hurt. It's not just the laughter, it's everything. It's the way she's pulled away, the way I feel like I'm losing her, and I can't stop it. But I can't tell her that. I can't admit that I'm scared. Who were you talking to earlier? I ask, my voice coming out more forceful than I intend. Anna doesn't look up at me. She keeps her eyes on her food, poking at it with her fork. Her lips pressed together, but she doesn't say anything. Anna, I say again, this time more insistent. I saw you, laughing. Who were you talking to? She pauses, her fork hovering above her plate. Then, slowly, she sets it down, her shoulders stiffening. The silence between us stretches for what feels like forever, the tension building until it's almost unbearable. I don't have to explain myself to you, she says, finally looking up at me. Her voice is cold, almost detached. It's the tone she uses when she's been pushed too far, when she's closed herself off completely. My heart starts to race. You're not answering me, I say, trying to keep my voice steady, but the anger is bubbling up now, raw and sharp. Who was it? Why don't you want to tell me? Are you hiding something from me, Anna? For a moment, she doesn't respond. She just stares at me, her eyes tired but hard. It's like she's looking at me for the first time, like she's finally seeing me, and it scares the hell out of me. I'm not hiding anything from you, she says finally, her voice soft, but there's a strange finality to it. I'm just tired, Mark. Tired of all the questions. Tired of feeling like I have to explain myself every time I do something. Her words cut deeper than I expect. It's not the answer I wanted, but it's the one I feared. She's not giving me anything. Not the truth. Not an explanation. Nothing. I push back from the table, my chair scraping against the floor. I just want to know what's going on, I say, but I'm shouting now, my voice cracking. I can feel the rage inside me, bubbling over, and I can't stop it. Why are you pulling away from me, Anna? What have I done? Tell me what I've done. She stands up abruptly, her chair clattering against the floor. Her eyes flash with something. Resentment? Anger? I don't know. But she's not backing down. Maybe it's not about what you've done, she says through gritted teeth. Maybe it's about what you haven't done. Maybe I'm just tired of waiting for you to notice that I'm not happy anymore. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I stagger back, my mind spinning. She's not happy? How could I have missed this? How could I have not seen it coming? I try to speak, but the words are stuck in my throat. What can I say to that? I've spent so much time thinking about myself, about what I need, that I've forgotten about her. Forgotten about her needs, her pain. Forgotten about the woman I promised to love and protect. I didn't know. I managed to choke out. But even as I say it, I realize how hollow it sounds. I didn't know you felt this way. Anna's face softens, just for a moment. It's like she's giving me a glimpse of the woman I used to know, but it disappears quickly, replaced by the woman I've been avoiding for too long. I've been trying to tell you for months, Mark, but you don't listen. You never listen. There's nothing I can say to that. The truth is she's right. I've been so caught up in my own world, my own fears and insecurities, that I've stopped seeing her, stopped listening to her. I don't know how we got here. I don't know how the cracks started to form in our marriage. But I know one thing for sure. I can't fix it if she's not willing to meet me halfway. I don't know what to do anymore, I say, my voice breaking. I don't know how to make things right. Anna looks at me, her face tired, but resolute. Maybe it's too late for that, Mark. And with that, she turns and walks out of the room, leaving me alone with my thoughts. The words echo in my head like a death knell. Maybe it's too late. I stare at the table for a long time after she's gone, trying to make sense of everything. Of the way she's slipping away from me. Of the way I've been blind to her pain. But no matter how hard I try, I can't shake the feeling that something's already broken beyond repair. The night drags on, thick and suffocating. I can't sleep. I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind spinning with everything Anna said earlier. The words are etched in my mind, the weight of them pressing down on me like a vice. Maybe it's too late for that, Mark. It's as if she's already given up, already moved on, and I'm just too late to catch up. I keep telling myself I'll fix it, that I'll make things right. But the truth is, I don't know how. I've tried, or at least I thought I had, but somewhere along the way I've lost her. And now it feels like I'm suffocating, watching her slip further and further away. The sound of Anna's footsteps on the stairs pulls me from my thoughts. I hear her moving around the house, quiet, deliberate. She's avoiding me. She's been avoiding me for days now. Her silence is a wall, and I don't know how to break it. I get up, my body heavy with exhaustion and frustration, and go downstairs. I find her in the living room, sitting on the couch, her back turned to me as she flips through a magazine. The light from the table lamp casts a soft glow over her, but it only seems to highlight the distance between us. She doesn't even look up when I walk into the room. Anna, I say, my voice rough, but she doesn't respond. I want to ask her what she's doing, what's going on in her head, but I can't bring myself to. What's the point? She's made it clear she doesn't want to talk to me. I turn away, feeling the sharp sting of rejection, but then something catches my eye. Her purse is sitting on the coffee table, half open, her phone peeking out from inside. Without thinking, I reach for it. It's wrong, I know that, but the temptation is too strong. I want to know who she's been talking to, what she's been hiding. I hesitate for a moment, guilt crawling up my spine, but then I unlock her phone. It's not that I don't trust her. I do, or at least I used to, but now I don't know what to think anymore. The screen lights up with a list of recent messages, and my heart skips a beat. There's a thread of text between Anna and someone I don't recognize. A man. My stomach tightens as I read the words, each one feeling like a blow to the chest. Can't wait to see you tonight. I'll make sure he's out of the house. We can finally have some time alone. The messages go on, each one more intimate than the last. I feel sick. I feel betrayed. It's like my world is unraveling, piece by piece, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. I keep reading, even though every part of me screams to put the phone down to walk away. But I can't. I'm trapped, drawn into the web of their words, the secret they've been hiding. And then I see it, the final message, the one that burns itself into my brain. I love you. The words cut deep, deeper than I thought anything could. Love. She said she loved him. Not me. Not the man she married. And for the first time in years, I wonder if I've ever really known her at all. I don't even realize I'm shaking until I hear the sound of Anna's footsteps behind me. I turn just as she enters the room, her eyes widening when she sees me holding the phone. The look on her face is one of pure panic, like a deer caught in headlights. Mark, she starts, but her voice is trembling, her hands shaking at her sides. I didn't mean for you to find that. I drop the phone onto the couch like it's burning me. I'm too angry to speak, too overwhelmed with the rush of emotions crashing through me. I feel like I'm drowning, gasping for air, and all I can think is that this is the moment when everything changes. Who is he? I manage to choke out, my voice low and dangerous. Who is the man you've been texting? The one you've been lying to me about? Anna opens her mouth to speak, but then she closes it, her gaze dropping to the floor. She's avoiding my eyes now, too, just like she's been avoiding everything else. I wasn't, she starts again, but the words falter in her throat. She takes a shaky breath, looking back up at me. I didn't want to hurt you, Mark. I never meant for it to go this far. My hands ball in a fist at my sides, my knuckles white. How long? I demand, my voice rising with every word. How long has this been going on, Anna? How long have you been seeing him behind my back? Her eyes flicker with guilt, and I know the answer before she says a word. A few months, she admits softly, her voice barely above a whisper. It started out as something small, something that didn't mean anything, but then it just happened, and I couldn't stop it. My heart shatters, the pieces falling around me like glass. I don't know what to feel anymore. Betrayal, anger, confusion. It's all blending together into a haze of pain that I can't escape. A few months? I repeat, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. A few months, and you didn't think to tell me? You didn't think to tell me that we were over? I didn't know how, she says, her voice breaking. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to hurt you. But you did anyway. I spit out, stepping back. You hurt me more than you could ever understand. You broke me, Anna. I can feel the tears welling up in my eyes, but I refuse to let them fall. I refuse to let her see me cry. Not when she's already taken everything from me. She takes a step toward me, her hand outstretched, but I flinch away from her touch, disgusted. Mark, please, she begs, her voice strained with emotion. I never meant for any of this to happen. I never wanted to hurt you. I just couldn't keep pretending anymore. And just like that, I realized the truth. This isn't something we can fix. She's already checked out. She's already moved on. And now, I'm the one left behind, holding on to something that's already broken beyond repair. I can't breathe. The room feels like it's closing in on me, the walls pressing against my chest, the air thick and suffocating. Anna's words keep echoing in my mind, looping over and over again, each one more painful than the last. A few months. She's been seeing him for months, and all this time, I had no idea. How could I not have known? How could I have missed it? I stand there, staring at her, at the woman I thought I knew, but now I don't know anything. The guilt, the anger, the hurt are all swirling inside me, a storm that I can't control, and I can't stop it. Mark! Anna's voice is soft, tentative, as though she's afraid of what I might do next. But it's too late for apologies. Too late for explanations. She's already gone. I turn away, needing space, needing to get away from her, from everything. I walk to the window and look out at the darkening sky. The streets are empty, the world continuing on, oblivious to the wreckage of my life unfolding within these walls. I'm not sure how much time passes before I hear Anna move behind me, her footsteps light and uncertain. But she doesn't say anything more. She doesn't try to explain. It's as if she's finally given up too, on me, on us. And I can't blame her. I can't even blame her for what she's done. I've been the one who pushed her away. I've been the one who stopped seeing her, who stopped listening. But none of that matters now. I hear Anna's voice again, quieter this time, but it cuts through the silence. Mark, I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. Her words don't reach me. They fall into the empty space between us, unnoticed, unheeded. The weight of them is too much. I can't take it anymore. I turn around to face her, and the look in her eyes, guilt, regret, but something else too, something I can't quite place, only makes everything worse. For a long moment, neither of us speaks. The tension is unbearable, thick and suffocating. She's waiting for me to say something. I'm waiting for her to say something more. But there's nothing left to say. I remember the day we met. It feels like a lifetime ago, but it's still fresh in my mind. I can see her clearly, standing across the room, her laugh so genuine, her eyes sparkling with excitement as she told me about her day. It was the kind of carefree, joyful laughter I used to love. The kind that made me feel like I could conquer anything as long as she was by my side. We were so young then, so full of hope. I remember how easy it was to talk to her, how everything felt like it had a purpose, like we were building something real together. It was simple. We were in love, and the world was ours for the taking. But somewhere along the way, I stopped listening. I stopped paying attention to her needs, to her voice, to the way she looked at me with those tired eyes. And maybe that's when it all started. Maybe that's when she started to slip away. I can't fix it now. I can't undo the damage I've done. But I want to. I want to go back to those days when we were happy, when we were us, before all the anger, before the distance. But I can't. Mark, Anna says softly, her voice breaking through my thoughts. Please don't look at me like that. I blink, realizing I've been staring at her for too long, as if I can somehow will everything back to how it was. Like what? I ask, my voice hoarse raw. Like I'm some kind of monster, she replies, her voice trembling. I'm not a monster. I never meant for this to happen. I don't know where things went wrong. The words sting more than I expect. They cut through me with a sharpness that leaves me breathless. I don't know how to respond. She's right. She's not a monster. She's not the one who ruined everything. I am. But still, the anger surges within me, a flood I can't control. You did this, Anna. You chose him over me. And I can't just pretend that nothing's changed. Her face falls, her eyes brimming with tears. I didn't choose him over you, she says quietly, her voice breaking. I didn't mean for it to go that far. But I was lonely, Mark. I was so lonely. And I needed someone who saw me, who heard me. I feel the blood rush to my face, the guilt and shame flooding me all at once. I wanted to say something to make it all better, to somehow reach her and make her understand that I wasn't perfect, but I was trying. I wanted her to see that I was still here, still trying to hold on. But I can't say those words. The anger is too strong, the hurt too deep. And deep down, I know I'm just as lost as she is. We stand there for what feels like hours, neither of us speaking, both of us drowning in the silence. And then, without a word, I turn away again, walking toward the door, unable to face her anymore, unable to face myself. I grab my coat, my hands trembling, and head for the front door. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm looking for. I just need to get away. Before I can open the door, I hear Anna call my name, her voice desperate. But I don't look back. I can't. I step outside, the cold air hitting me like a slap to the face, but it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Not anymore. As I walk down the empty street, my mind goes back to the beginning, to the promises we made, to the life we shared. But none of that matters now. None of it can fix what's been broken. And I wonder, for the first time, if there's anything left worth saving. I walk through the streets, numb, the icy air biting in my skin, but doing nothing to clear my mind. My thoughts are suffocating, a cloud of bitterness and confusion that I can't shake off. I'm angry, yes, but there's something else, something darker, something I can't control. Jealousy. It claws at me like a beast trapped inside, thrashing and screaming for release. The idea of Anna with someone else, of her laughing with him, touching him, loving him, it consumes me. I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop imagining the way she looks at him, the way she must feel when he touches her, when he makes her feel something I can't anymore. I want to scream. I want to rip apart everything she's built with him. I want to punish her. I want to make her feel the way I feel right now, betrayed, lost, hollow. But I know I can't. I know that if I even tried, I'd just make everything worse. But still, the jealousy gnaws at me. It's a fire burning inside me, getting hotter with every thought of them together. I don't know how long I walk, but eventually, I find myself outside a bar. It's dark inside, quiet, the kind of place where no one asks questions. I push through the door and let the noise of the crowd wash over me, the smell of beer and sweat filling my senses. I don't know what I'm looking for, but I'm desperate for something. I sit at the bar, order a drink, and stare at the glass in front of me, the amber liquid swirling as I twist it slowly. The bartender eyes me for a moment, but doesn't say anything. I down the drink in one go, the burn of the alcohol doing nothing to ease the tension in my chest. Another drink, and another. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what I'm trying to do. Maybe I'm just running from the truth, from the weight of Anna's betrayal. Or maybe, just maybe, I'm trying to drown out the gnawing voice in my head, the voice that tells me I've lost her, the voice that says she'll never be mine again. The jealousy is still there, simmering beneath the surface, waiting for an excuse to break free. And then, as if the universe is mocking me, my phone buzzes in my pocket. I take it out, and there's a text. From Anna. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do anymore. Can we talk? I stare at the words for a moment, my stomach twisting. She's reaching out. She wants to talk. But what is there left to say? What could she possibly say that would make this better? But then another thought crashes into me, one I can't shake. What if this is part of her game? What if she's just stringing me along, pretending to care, while all along, she's still with him? What if she's just trying to keep me around for convenience, knowing I'll always come back, knowing I'm still the one who'll forgive her? I feel my hands tremble as I type a response, my fingers moving on their own, typing words that I don't even fully believe. I don't know if I can trust you anymore, Anna. I don't know if I can forgive you for this. But we can talk, I guess. I hit send before I can change my mind. I wait, my heart pounding in my chest. But there's no reply. Nothing. Minutes turn into an hour, and still, nothing. My phone sits there in front of me, silent, mocking me. I down another drink, the alcohol slamming into my brain, dulling the edges of my thoughts. But it's not enough. It never is. I can't stop thinking about her with him, about the way she smiles at him, about how, when I looked at her, I saw only exhaustion, frustration. But when she's with him, what does she feel then? Does she laugh with him the way she used to laugh with me? Does he touch her the way I used to? I'm drunk now, the weight of it pressing down on me. My vision blurs, my thoughts becoming hazy. The jealousy, the rage, it's all I can think about. It consumes me. It burns away the last fragments of the man I used to be, leaving nothing but this broken, empty shell. I hear footsteps approaching, and I turn to see a man sitting next to me. He's older, his face weathered by years of life and regret, but he doesn't look like the type who would ask questions. He orders a drink and glances at me, a faint, almost knowing smile on his lips. For some reason, it pisses me off, the way he looks at me like he understands, like he knows what I'm feeling. I don't want anyone's sympathy. I don't want anyone's understanding. I stand up abruptly, knocking over my glass. Get away from me. I growl, my voice thick with alcohol. I don't need anyone's advice. The man doesn't flinch. He just raises an eyebrow and leans back, as if he's seen it all before. I leave the bar, my head spinning, my heart pounding in my chest. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I don't know if I'm even capable of feeling anything besides this jealousy, this need to lash out, to make her feel what I'm feeling. I stagger through the streets, my vision spinning. My mind is a storm, swirling with thoughts of Anna and him, of what they've shared, of what I've lost. When I get home, the house is dark, silent. I'm not sure what I expected, but it wasn't this. I stand in the doorway for a moment, just staring into the emptiness of our home. It feels foreign to me now. It doesn't feel like the place where we built our life together. It doesn't feel like the place where I belong. I'm not sure how long I stand there, but eventually I walk to the living room, my steps heavy. I sit down on the couch, my hands trembling, my head spinning. The jealousy is still there, gnawing at my insides, tearing at me. It feels like I'm losing everything I've ever cared about. I just want to make it stop. I want to stop feeling this way. I want to stop caring. But I can't, and I don't know if I ever will. The house is quiet when I wake up, the kind of silence that hangs heavy in the air, thick with unspoken words and half-formed apologies. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to face Anna. I don't want to face the reality of what's happened. But I don't have a choice. I drag myself out from under the covers, my body aching with the weight of the alcohol from last night and the weight of everything that's gone wrong between us. I take a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I can't do this. I can't keep living like this. But I can't walk away, either. Not yet. I hear her moving downstairs, before I even get to the top of the stairs. Her footsteps are careful, cautious, almost as if she's afraid of waking me. Or worse, afraid of what I might say or do if I see her. I don't blame her. I've become a stranger to her, someone she has to walk on eggshells around. I go down the stairs slowly, the steps creaking under my weight. When I reach the bottom, I see her in the kitchen, her back turned to me as she works silently. She's making coffee, the steam rising from the mug as she stirs it absent-mindedly. Her hair is tied back, messy from sleep, but even in the chaos of it, she looks beautiful. And for a moment, I almost forget everything, the anger, the betrayal, the jealousy, and I just want to reach out and hold her, the way I used to. But then I remember, and that feeling vanishes as quickly as it came. I stand in the doorway, watching her, my arms crossed over my chest. I don't know what to say. I don't know what I can say. She doesn't turn around at first, but when she does, her eyes meet mine, and there's a look in them, something defiant, something that stirs a strange sense of recognition in me. It's the same look she used to give me when we argued, the look that said she wasn't afraid of me, even when I tried to make her afraid. It's the look that always made me feel like she wasn't completely mine. And for a split second, I wonder if she's been wearing that look all along, if I've been blind to it. "You're awake," she says, her voice quiet but steady. It's like she's trying to sound casual, but I can hear the undercurrent of tension in her tone. "Yeah," I reply, my voice rough from sleep. I can't stand the way she's looking at me. I don't know if it's pity or defiance or something else entirely, but it drives me mad. "We need to talk." She nods, but there's something in her eyes, something that says she already knows what I'm about to say. "I know," she says softly, setting her spoon down and placing the mug on the counter. "But I think we both know there's nothing left to say, Mark." Her words cut through me like a knife. The finality in her voice, like she's already given up, crushes whatever remnants of hope I have left. I want to yell at her. I want to demand that she fix this, that she take it back, that she tell me she still loves me. But I can't. Not when I know she doesn't feel the same anymore. I swallow hard, trying to push down the bitter taste in my mouth. "What's going on, Anna?" I ask, my voice trembling. "Who is he? Who is the guy you've been seeing?" Her eyes don't drop, not even for a second. She holds my gaze, and there's something there, a flicker of something, but it's hard to tell what. Regret? Guilt? Maybe. Or maybe it's just the last shred of defiance she has left. "It doesn't matter, Mark," she says, her voice steady but weary. "What matters is that I'm done. I'm done pretending everything is fine when it's not. I'm done trying to hold on to something that isn't there anymore. I've tried, Mark. I really have. But it's too late. I feel the sting of her words, but there's nothing I can do to stop them. I want to argue, to make her see that we can fix this, that we can find our way back. But I know it's pointless. She's already made up her mind. I don't know when it happened, when she stopped looking at me with love and started seeing me as someone else, someone she could barely tolerate. I don't know when the spark between us died, but I know it's gone, and I'm terrified it's too late to reignite it. "You're leaving me, aren't you?" I ask, my voice barely above a whisper, the weight of the question heavy in the air. She looks away, her jaw tightening as if she's trying to hold back something. When she speaks again, her voice is quieter, but it still carries the same finality. "I'm not leaving you, Mark. I just don't know how much longer I can stay here, pretending like I'm happy, like I'm okay. I haven't been okay for a long time, and I can't keep living in this lie." The words land like a punch in my stomach. I can feel the tears threatening to rise, but I won't let them fall. Not in front of her. Not now. "I'm not the same man I used to be," I say, the words spilling out before I can stop them. "I've tried, Anna. I've tried so hard, but I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to make you love me again." Her eyes soften, just for a moment, but she doesn't answer. She doesn't need to. The truth is written all over her face. She's already made her decision, and there's nothing I can do to change it. I stand there for a long time, just staring at her, my heart heavy with the weight of everything unsaid. She's right. I've failed her. I've failed us. And now, all I can do is watch as she pulls away from me, piece by piece, until there's nothing left but silence. "You still have a choice, Mark," she says quietly, her voice barely audible. "You don't have to keep doing this. You don't have to keep destroying yourself over something that's already over." Her words hang in the air like a lifeline, but I don't know if I can reach for it. I don't know if I can let go of everything that's holding me down. I want to scream. I want to shout at her, to make her see how much she's hurting me, how much she's torn me apart. But instead, I turn away, my hands clenched in a fist at my sides. "Maybe you're right," I say, my voice thick with emotion. "Maybe it is over." And with that, I leave the kitchen, the last remnants of our life together slipping away with every step I take. I don't know how long I've been sitting there, staring at the wall, the same emptiness stretching out in front of me. The hours bleed into one another, and yet I'm still stuck in that moment. The one where Anna's words slice through the air, where the truth settled on me like a weight that I can't shake off. I've known for a while, haven't I, that something wasn't right, that the woman I married, The woman who used to look at me with such love and trust had started looking past me, around me, as though I were invisible. It was never just the little things. The way she glanced at her phone with a nervous edge or the faint sighs when I asked her about her day. It wasn't just the distance, the growing silence between us. It was the feeling of being replaced, of being rendered irrelevant in her life. And I had ignored it. I had shut my eyes, buried the nagging doubts, because I didn't want to face the truth. I didn't want to believe that the woman I married had grown tired of me. But now, with the words hanging between us, with her telling me it was over, I can no longer ignore the inevitable. Her affair. She's been with someone else. Who? The question gnaws at me, picking at the scab of my anger. Who is he? What does he have that I don't? Is he everything I'm not? Does he listen to her? Does he make her feel beautiful? Wanted? Does he touch her the way I once did, gently, like she's something precious? I can't help it. I can't let it go. The jealousy that's been building inside me for weeks now bubbles up, choking me. I have to know who he is. I have to see his face, know his name. Because if I don't, I'll be lost in this torment forever. I grab my coat, slamming the door behind me as I step out into the cold. My mind races, my steps quickening as I make my way toward the one place that has become the focal point of my every thought. The office. Anna works at a law firm, a place where she spent countless hours since we moved into this house. I've always been proud of her for being so driven, for taking on such a demanding career. I used to admire the way she balanced everything, her work, our home, me. But now, I wonder how much of that balance was real. How much of her devotion was an act to cover up the truth. As I reach the office building, I slow my pace, my heart pounding in my chest. I don't even know what I'm doing here. What's the plan? To demand answers from her colleagues? To search through her emails? No, that's not who I am. But the idea of sitting at home, waiting for her to come back and act like everything is fine, is unbearable. I walk into the lobby, the glass door sliding open as I step inside. The receptionist doesn't look up at first, but when she does, she offers me a polite smile, her eyes scanning me briefly as if trying to gauge my purpose. "Can I help you?" she asks. I swallow, trying to steady myself, and force a smile that feels unnatural. "I'm here to see Anna Miller. Is she in today?" The receptionist glances at the computer in front of her. "She's in a meeting at the moment, but if you'd like to wait, I can let her know you're here." I shake my head, my jaw tight. I don't have time for waiting. "No, it's fine. I'll catch her later." I turn away before she can say anything else, walking toward the elevators. I'm not sure what I'm looking for, but I know I need something, anything, that will give me a clue. A piece of information that will help me understand what's happening in my life, in my marriage. The elevator dings as it reaches the top floor, and I step out into the hallway, my footsteps echoing in the quiet. There are a few people milling about, colleagues laughing softly, exchanging pleasantries, but none of them seem to notice me. None of them know what I'm here for, what I'm about to uncover. I stop at Anna's office door. It's closed, the soft glow of a light coming from beneath it. She's in there, alone. I don't know why I do it. Maybe it's the feeling of being out of control, of being powerless in the face of what's happening to me. But I can't help myself. I reach for the doorknob. It's unlocked. I push the door open slowly, the hinges creaking as I step inside. Her desk is as neat as always. Papers arranged in tidy piles, a coffee cup beside her computer. It's just another day. But it isn't. It isn't just another day. I move toward her desk, my heart thudding in my chest as I look at the open file on the corner. It's not hers, I can tell. It's someone else's. But I'm not looking for files. I'm not looking for anything professional. I'm looking for the truth. And then I see it. A scrap of paper, half hidden beneath a stack of files. I don't even know why I pick it up, but I do. My fingers tremble as I turn it over. A name. John Richards. It's all it says. No other details, no context. Just a name. But it's enough. It's enough to send a rush of adrenaline through me. Enough to stop my heart cold. I don't know if this is him, the man she's been seeing, but something tells me that it is. And now I have a name. I have something to hold on to. John Richards. Who the hell are you? I feel my body shaking as I clutch the scrap of paper, my breath coming in shallow gasps. This is it. This is what I've been waiting for. The name of the man who has taken my wife away from me. I don't know if I'll confront him or if I'll just burn the paper and pretend I never saw it. But one thing is clear now. I can't go back to the way things were. I can't pretend that I don't know the truth. Anna's betrayal is real, and I have to face it. I leave the office quickly, the doors swinging shut behind me. I don't look back. I didn't expect it to feel like this. Finding out Anna's been seeing someone else was supposed to be the revelation that finally allowed me to piece everything together, to feel the rage, the justification for the way I've treated her. I was supposed to feel vindicated. But instead, there's this gnawing emptiness, a hollowness that's worse than any anger I've ever felt. John Richards. That name keeps repeating in my head like a drumbeat, each echo louder than the last. It's almost as if the name itself is mocking me, reminding me of my failures, my mistakes. I'm obsessed with it, and it's eating away at me from the inside. The obsession isn't with him, though. It's with the image of Anna slipping away from me, slowly but surely. It's with the realization that I've lost her in ways I couldn't even see until now. I haven't seen Anna since I left her office. After I found that piece of paper, I didn't know what to do with myself. I felt like a stranger in my own skin, my mind whirling in 1,000 directions, none of them leading to anything good. So I did the only thing I could think to do. I went home. I've been pacing around the house ever since, trying to make sense of everything, but nothing feels real. The house is quiet, eerily so. No footsteps, no laughter, no soft murmur of Anna humming in the kitchen. Just silence. The kind of silence that screams at you, louder than any argument could. I sit down at the kitchen table, the cold surface beneath my hands grounding me, forcing me to breathe, to think. I close my eyes for a moment, trying to clear my mind, but all I can see is Anna's face, her eyes filled with something I don't recognize. Her expression when she told me it was over. When she told me she couldn't keep living in this lie. I can still hear the finality in her voice. I can still feel the weight of her words pressing against my chest, suffocating me. I don't know how we got here. I don't know when I became the person I've become. I think back to the man I used to be, the man Anna married. I used to be confident, sure of myself, sure of us. We were young, in love, and I thought that nothing could tear us apart. We were a team, partners in everything. At least, that's what I told myself. But somewhere along the way, somewhere between the pressures of work and the weight of life, I lost sight of her. I lost sight of us. I didn't notice the small cracks forming in our relationship. The nights when Anna would sit at the table, her face drawn, her smile absent. I didn't see the way she started to pull away from me, how she grew distant, like I was some ghost she couldn't touch. Instead, I chose to ignore it. I told myself I was doing enough. I told myself that she was just tired, stressed. I thought I could fix it by being more demanding, more in control, more dominant. But now I see the truth. I see the damage I've done. I think about the times I raised my voice, the times I manipulated her into thinking she was the problem. How many times did I twist her words, make her feel small, like she wasn't allowed to be upset? How many times did I dismiss her feelings, her concerns, because I couldn't bear the thought of not being in control? I made her feel like nothing she did was ever good enough. I made her feel like she had to constantly prove her worth to me, to earn my love. And all the while, I was too wrapped up in my own insecurities to see how much I was suffocating her. It was never about love, was it? It was about power, control, keeping her close so I wouldn't lose her, not realizing that the tighter I gripped, the more I pushed her away. The more I demanded, the less she gave. I know she doesn't love me the way she used to. Not anymore. And I can't blame her. But there's a part of me, a deep, dark part, that refuses to let go. That part of me is the one that still hopes, still believes that if I just try harder, if I just change, she'll come back. If I can show her that I'm better, that I'm someone worth loving, maybe she'll forgive me. Maybe we can fix this. But I don't know if I can change. I don't know if I can make it right. I glance over at the framed photo of us on the counter. Our wedding day. We're smiling. so happy. We were so in love. I remember how she looked at me back then, how she trusted me with everything. That woman is gone, and I don't know if I can ever find her again. I hear the front door open, and I freeze. Anna's home. My heart beats faster, my body tensing as I hear her footsteps coming down the hall. She's here, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. The door to the kitchen opens, and she steps inside. Her eyes meet mine, and for a moment, we just stare at each other. There's a tension in the air, something thick and suffocating that neither of us knows how to break. I didn't know if you'd be here, Anna says, her voice soft but guarded. She stands in the doorway, her arms crossed, her gaze flicking nervously toward the floor before meeting mine again. I swallow hard. I want to say something, to tell her how sorry I am, to beg her to stay, to fix this, but the words won't come. All I can do is sit there, feeling the weight of everything I've done. You're right, I finally say, my voice hoarse. I've done terrible things to you, Anna, and I don't know how to fix it. I don't even know if I can. She doesn't respond immediately. She just looks at me, her face unreadable. For a moment, I think she might walk away, leave the room and the house entirely, but she doesn't. Instead, she steps forward slowly, her voice barely a whisper. You can't fix it, Mark. You can't change the things you've done. You can only decide what kind of man you want to be from here on out. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I want to say something, to argue, to make her understand that I'm not that man anymore, that I can change. But I can't, because deep down, I know she's right. The damage is done. I don't know what I'm expecting when I stand outside John Richards' apartment, but it certainly isn't the chaos that immediately hits me in the chest. It's strange how you can imagine something for so long and still be unprepared when it actually happens. I had planned it out in my head, this whole confrontation. I'd imagined the moment 100 times. I'd envisioned walking up to him, getting in his face, demanding answers, making him see the damage he's done. But standing here now, I realize there's no script for this. No right words, no perfect way to make this make sense. I take a shaky breath and raise my hand, knocking on the door with far more force than necessary. The silence that follows feels like it stretches on forever. My heart is pounding in my chest, my stomach twisting with anticipation. I can hear movement from inside, the sound of footsteps. Then, the door creaks open, just a crack, and a pair of eyes meet mine. A man in his 30s. Dark hair, scruffy but well-kept, his expression somewhere between confusion and irritation. He doesn't look like someone who's just slept with my wife, but maybe that's the point. I expected him to be different, bigger, older, someone with more power. But he's just a man. He's just a man who's stolen my life. You, Mark? He asks, his voice low, cautious. I nod, my throat dry. I need to talk to you. He lifts me up and down, sizing me up, clearly not expecting this. He opens the door a bit wider, the scent of cologne and something unfamiliar, a hint of stale beer, seeping out into the hall. Come in, he says, stepping back, his voice still guarded. I hesitate, but only for a moment. I step inside. The apartment is small, nondescript, like the man himself. There's nothing that stands out, nothing that feels like a place someone would bring a wife. The walls are bare, except for a few photographs that seem hastily hung, a few random trinkets cluttering the coffee table. John gestures for me to sit, but I don't. I stand there, my fists clenched by my sides, my body rigid. Do you know who I am? I ask, my voice hard, betraying none of the uncertainty swirling inside me. He nods slowly. Anna's husband. Yeah, I know who you are. The words cut through me, but I refuse to let him see it. I'm not here to show weakness. I'm here to make him understand that he's not getting away with this. You think you're just going to walk in and take what's mine? I force the words out, the anger rising inside me like a slow burn. John sighs, rubbing the back of his neck, as if he's not sure how to handle me. He takes a step back, clearly thinking through his response. Look, man, I didn't want this to happen. This isn't. He shakes his head, clearly trying to come up with something that makes sense, but nothing seems to work. He pauses, his voice softening. But you've got to understand, it wasn't just me. It's been going on for months now. Anna's not the same person she was when you two first met. I feel a flash of rage, my pulse thudding in my ears. You think I don't know that? I bark, my chest heaving. You think I don't know my wife has changed? But you're the one who took advantage of it. You're the one who made her think she needed someone else, someone better. He takes a slow step back, his eyes not quite meeting mine, and suddenly I realize something. He's not afraid of me. Not like I expected. It's as if he's more ashamed than anything else. I didn't make her do anything, he says quieter now. I didn't force her into this. I wasn't the one who turned her into someone who needed a way out. The words hit me like a slap. They're not what I expected. Not the defiant stance I thought he'd have. Instead, it's this strange, subdued admission. One that feels more like pity than anything else. It doesn't feel like I'm the one in control anymore. And that scares me more than anything. Anna didn't deserve what you did to her, John continues, his voice steady now, like he's found his ground. But she also didn't deserve to be with a man who wasn't giving her what she needed. A man who didn't even see her. Who kept her trapped, controlling everything. I recoil, a shudder running down my spine at the sting of his words. They're not wrong. I've been denying it for so long, convincing myself that I was justified, that everything I did was out of love. But it wasn't. It was control. It was fear. I look at him now, and all the anger I thought I'd feel starts to fade into something else. Something like resignation, like this man is just a small part of a much bigger picture that I've ignored for far too long. I've been a terrible husband, and now Anna is paying the price. John watches me for a moment, waiting for me to say something. But I can't. The words won't come. Not to him. Not to anyone. I'm not here for your forgiveness. I mutter, my throat tight. I just wanted to see the man who thought he could take my place. He looks at me, his gaze no longer defensive but almost understanding. You're angry, Mark. I get that. But I didn't take anything from you that you weren't already losing. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but I can't argue with him. Because the truth is, I was losing Anna long before John Richards came into the picture. I turn to leave, my footsteps heavy as I head toward the door, but just as my hand touches the knob, John's voice stops me. If you want to fix it, if you want to save your marriage, start by looking at yourself first, he says. I don't respond. I can't. Because for the first time in years, I realize that he's right. I haven't seen Anna since the day I left her office, and it's been killing me. There's a pit in my stomach every time I think of her, of the look on her face when she told me everything was over. She didn't even try to explain. It was as if she had been preparing for that moment, for the inevitable breaking point where we would finally have to face the truth about us. I tell myself I'm giving her space, but the truth is I don't know what else to do. I've been pacing the house, playing out different scenarios in my head, but every time it ends the same, Anna walking away from me. I tell myself that she owes me something, that after everything I've done, she should be the one to try to fix this. But deep down, I know it's not her fault. It's mine. All of it. The doorbell rings, pulling me from my thoughts, and my heart leaps into my throat. It's her. I know it's her. Even before I hear the soft shuffle of footsteps on the front porch. I don't know how I know, but I do. I open the door before I even think about it. She stands there, just out of reach, her face unreadable. Her expression is calm, controlled, as though the years we spent together, the tears, the arguments, and the silence had all led to this moment. For a long moment, neither of us speaks. I'm afraid to say the wrong thing, but I can see the tension in her posture, the way she's standing like she's ready to bolt if I give her a reason. You're here. I finally manage, my voice rough, almost a whisper. Anna nods, her eyes not quite meeting mine. I am. I don't know what to do with myself. I stand there, feeling the space between us stretch wider with each passing second. She's still my wife. She's still the woman I promised to love and protect. But that doesn't seem to matter anymore. Not with all the damage I've done. What do you want, Anna? The question comes out of my mouth before I can stop it, and I regret it immediately. It's not what I meant. I want to beg her to stay, to tell me we can fix this. But instead, I sound like I'm accusing her of something. She doesn't flinch. I want to talk. That simple sentence rattles me more than anything else. She doesn't say it with anger or bitterness or even sadness. She says it with a quiet, steady resolve. like she's not scared of me anymore. I'm listening, I say almost mechanically. I take a step back, letting her in, though I don't know why. It feels like the air between us has thickened, like there's nothing to say anymore that will fix anything. Anna steps inside, her eyes scanning the room briefly before she meets my gaze again. There's a softness in her eyes now, but there's something else too. Something that makes me realize she's not the same woman I used to know. I'm not here to fight with you, Mark, she begins, her voice quiet but firm. I'm here because I need you to understand something. I want to say something, to apologize, to tell her that I'm sorry, that I'm willing to change. But the words get stuck in my throat. I think of the things I've done, the things I've said, and I realize that no amount of apologies will ever be enough to undo the harm I've caused. I don't expect you to forgive me, I say, my voice tight. I know I've screwed up. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. Anna's eyes narrow slightly, not in anger, but in something else, something deeper. You don't get it, do you? She says, her voice steady. This isn't about whether or not you deserve my forgiveness. It's about whether or not you can see what you've done. Whether you can finally understand how much you hurt me, how much you hurt us. I'm taken aback by her words, by the force behind them. It's not the pleading tone I expected. It's not the broken woman I've been waiting to see. This is different. This is a woman who has been beaten down for too long and has finally decided to stand up for herself. I've been telling myself I can change. I say, almost to myself, that I can fix this, that I can fix us. Anna's gaze softens, but there's still that underlying strength in her eyes. It's not about you fixing it, Mark. It's about us choosing to move forward. You can't fix something that was never broken to begin with. You broke it. Her words hit me hard. It's like a slap across the face, but it's not the kind of slap that stings. It's the kind that shatters whatever illusion I've been holding on to. I don't want to break us, I say, my voice quiet. I'm not even sure she hears me. No, she agrees, but you did. And it wasn't just the words. It was the control, the manipulation, the way you made me feel like I was the one who was wrong. Like everything I did wasn't enough. You broke me, Mark. You broke me in ways that I didn't even realize until I stepped away. I feel the weight of her words pressing down on me, and for the first time, I don't know how to respond. It's as if all the air has been sucked out of the room, leaving me gasping for something, anything to say. But I can't find the words. I try to be a good wife, Anna continues, her voice wavering only slightly. But I couldn't keep living in a house where I was suffocated, where everything I did was questioned, every move I made was controlled. I couldn't keep pretending that it wasn't killing me. I stare at her, not knowing what to do with this truth. It feels like a blow to the chest, a painful realization that the woman I once knew, the woman who was always there for me, has finally found the strength to walk away from me. Anna takes a step closer, her eyes unwavering. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I'm not asking for your pity. I'm telling you this because I need you to understand. I need you to see what you've done. I nod slowly, unable to speak. The words catch in my throat, and for once, I feel small. Anna's expression softens, just slightly, but it's there. There's something different in her now, something I haven't seen in years. And for the first time in a long time, I'm not the one in control. She turns to leave, and I don't stop her. She doesn't need to hear me apologize, not now. She needs to move on. She needs to find herself again, and maybe, just maybe, I need to let her go. As she walks away, I watch her go, and I know it's over. But I also know something else, that this woman, this strong, resolute woman, is the one who made me see the truth. And that truth is that I've lost her. The silence between us has stretched for days. A suffocating silence that fills every corner of the house we once shared, the one we built together. I can't escape it. It's in the walls, in the air, in the empty space she left behind. And no matter what I do, I can't seem to breathe without the pressure of it crushing me. Anna hasn't come back. She hasn't said a word to me since that day at the door. I've sent her messages, texts, emails, apologies I can never seem to get right. I've called her too many times, hoping for a response, for something to break this frozen barrier between us. But there's nothing, not a word, not a hint of acknowledgement. At night, I lay awake in our bed, the sheets cold beside me, and I wonder if she even misses me. The thought gnaws at me, deep and relentless. What if she doesn't? What if this is the end of everything? The anger is still there, simmering beneath the surface. It's quieter now, more controlled, but no less potent. It's the kind of anger that doesn't yell or scream. It's the kind that festers and waits. The kind that makes you question everything, even your own worth. I drive around aimlessly, my hands gripped tightly on the steering wheel, my mind racing with thoughts I can't seem to quiet. I know I'm doing this to myself. I know I'm spiraling, but I don't know how to stop. I don't know how to undo the damage I've done. I've never been good at letting go. But today something shifts. Something breaks inside me. I end up at the apartment, John's apartment, the one place I never thought I'd go again. I'll try to convince myself it's the last thing I need to do, but I can't shake the feeling that it's the only thing left. I park the car, my fingers numb from gripping the wheel too hard. My heart pounds in my chest, the noise in my ears louder than the engine shutting off. I sit there for a long moment, staring at the door. The door that's been the barrier between me and the man who's taken everything from me. I don't know what I'm hoping for. An apology? Closure? A fight? I don't know. All I know is that I can't walk away from this. Not yet. Not when I feel like there's something unresolved, something unfinished. I knock on the door again, harder this time. My knuckles hit the wood with a force that makes me wince, but I don't care. I just want him to answer. I want to see his face again. I want to make him feel what I'm feeling. John opens the door slowly, his expression unreadable as he sees me standing there, fists clenched by my sides. "You again," he says, his voice flat. I step into the doorway before he can fully close it, my body shaking from the effort of staying calm. "I need to talk to you." He doesn't protest this time. He doesn't seem surprised either. He just stands there, looking at me for a long moment before stepping aside, allowing me in. I don't wait for him to offer me a seat. I stand in the middle of the small apartment, my eyes wild, my heart still racing, the fury building inside me again. "What is it you think you're doing?" I ask, my voice low but cutting. "You think you've won? You think you've taken something from me, and you're just going to walk away with it?" John's eyes narrow, but there's no hostility in them. There's nothing defensive. It's almost as if he's waiting for something. "I didn't come here to fight you, Mark," he says quietly. "I don't want anything from you. I don't want anything from her either." The words hit me like a slap. They're not what I expected. I can see now that I was wrong about him. He's not some cocky, arrogant man who's happy to watch me suffer. He's not what I imagined him to be. "What do you want then?" I demand, my fists tightening again, my voice rising despite my best efforts to control it. "I want Anna to be happy," he replies simply. I almost laugh, but it's not a laugh at all. It's bitter. It's broken. "And you think she'll find that with you? You think you're some kind of answer to all her problems?" "I don't know," John says, his voice quieter now. "But I don't have the right to decide that. She's the one who has to choose. It's not about me, Mark. It never was. It's about what she needs." The words settle into my mind like stones, heavy and immovable. I stand there for a moment, unable to respond. My heart aches, and the anger starts to seep away, replaced by a deep, gnawing sadness. It's not about him. It's not even about me. It's about Anna. It's always been about Anna. I turn away from John, my hands shaking, my body tense with all the emotions I've been holding in for far too long. "You've lost her," John says softly from behind me, and it cuts through me like a knife. "I know," I say, barely able to get the words out. "I know." And in that moment, something inside me breaks wide open. I've lost her. I've lost the woman who was my world, the woman who I took for granted, the woman I tried to control, to mold into something she was never meant to be. I feel the weight of it all, the regret, the guilt, the years of mistakes. I feel it all pressing down on me, suffocating me. And in that suffocating silence, something shifts again. I realize that this is my breaking point. This is the moment where I can either crumble under the weight of everything I've done, or I can finally face it and accept that I'm the one who's ruined everything. I don't know how to fix it, but I know that I can't keep pretending I don't care. I look at John one last time, and for the first time in what feels like forever, I see him clearly. He's not my enemy. He's not my competition. He's just a man who's trying to help Anna, just like I should have been. And maybe, just maybe, I'm the one who needs to learn how to step aside. I don't say anything more. I just walk out of the apartment, my head spinning, my heart heavy, the weight of everything sinking in. It's over. It's really over. But maybe, just maybe, this is where I start to change. I've been alone for days. The apartment feels like a ghost town, even though the walls are still standing, even though my things are still here. But nothing feels like it did before. Nothing feels real anymore. The weight of what's happened presses on me with every breath I take, and every inch of this place is suffocating. It's as though everything I've known is slipping through my fingers, and I'm left grasping at air. I can't keep running from it. I can't keep pretending that there's a chance for me to fix this. The truth is harder to swallow than I imagined. It's one thing to realize you've messed up, but it's another to finally face the consequences of your actions and understand that it's too late to undo the damage. I've been trying to fill the emptiness with anything I can, drinks, distractions, thoughts of the past, but nothing works. Nothing drowns out the gnawing sense of loss that's become my constant companion. The only thing I haven't done yet is reach out to Anna again. And that's the only thing that feels like it might break me completely. I won't do it. I've already begged for forgiveness too many times. I've sent her enough messages to make it obvious that I'm desperate. I know that's the one thing I can't afford to do anymore. Show her how much I need her. I need her to see that I've learned something, but I don't even know where to begin. So instead, I sit in silence. I think about everything I've done. I think about her strength, the quiet defiance that started to build in her the more I chipped away at her. I think about how I never saw it coming. I never thought I could lose her like this, like she was slipping away from me while I just stood there, hands tied by my own failings. It's funny in a way. When you're in the middle of something like this, when you're so deep in your own anger and self-pity, you don't see the signs. You don't see how someone could be slowly dying inside, how someone could be retreating further and further until there's no room left for you in their world. And now I see it. Now, I see how much she was suffering before she finally had the courage to walk away. It's not just the affair. It's not just the lies. It's everything I did, the way I kept her in a cage, the way I tried to control her every move, every breath. I broke her. I made her feel like she wasn't enough, like she could never do anything right. I turned her into someone she wasn't. I can't take that back. I can't undo the years of damage. I know I've lost her for good. That realization settles into my bones like a chill I can't shake. There's no way to go back. There's no way to fix this. The damage is done. And yet, something shifts inside me. Something small, but undeniable. It's not hope. It's not the naive belief that I can undo everything, but it's a kind of clarity. I don't know if it's too late for me to change. I don't know if Anna will ever look at me the same way again. But for the first time, I see myself. I see the man I've become, the man I've let myself be, and I know that's not who I want to be anymore. I don't deserve redemption. I don't deserve forgiveness. But I can't keep living this way. I can't keep pretending that I don't see the damage I've caused. The only thing I can do now is try to be better, for myself if not for her. I walk out of the apartment, my mind clearer than it's been in weeks. I don't know where I'm going, but I know that I can't stay here anymore. Not in this place, not in this mindset. As I step into the cool night air, I realize that I'm not doing this for Anna. I'm doing it for me, for the man I used to be and the man I could still be, if I have the courage to change. The city around me feels distant, like it's a world I don't belong to anymore. But as I walk down the street, something shifts. I don't know where the road ahead will lead, but I know I'm walking it alone now. The weight of the past is heavy, but it's something I'm learning to carry. For the first time, I understand that redemption doesn't come in the form of someone else's forgiveness. It comes in the quiet moments of self-reflection, in the realization that change is possible, but only if I'm willing to face what I've done and accept the consequences. Maybe one day, I'll see Anna again. Maybe not. But for now, I'll keep walking, one step at a time,